Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to this week's final edition of Visibility Made Easy. So all of this week we've had the theme around speaking and being able to speak in an authentic way, a way that feels really like it's us. We've looked at what's made you worried about speaking out, what's made you fearful about it. We've looked at all sorts of different things we can do. And today, or this evening if you're watching in Europe or the UK, it's maybe lunchtime if you're watching in certain parts of America, or even mid-morning in other parts of the world. So welcome. My name's Jenny Kovacs and I'm known as the Queen of Being Seen, because the most important thing that I think I can bring to you is ways to make standing out, being seen, being heard and being noticed really simple and really easy. Life is too complicated as it is. We complicate things enough. So I'll be looking at you in the camera, in the lens of the camera there, and I'll also be looking down here on my computer, because quite recently I've had this, this is the second Facebook Live that I've done today, and I've noticed that sometimes your comments aren't showing up on the screen. I've swiped left or I've swiped right and still nothing happens. So today I am going to be talking about just 3 ways that I prepare to speak. Now, whether you speak online or offline, there's still a certain amount of preparation to be done, and there's lots of myths. And the thing that I see the most, especially if people start to unravel when they speak, is that they normally haven't set themselves up for a successful talk. So if you're watching this either live or on the replay and you know of somebody else who needs to present, needs to speak, then feel free to share this video with them. Either share it to your peers, share it to a group if you have a group, or even just share it to your timeline. I'll be most grateful, and do tag me in there at the @ symbol, and then just put in Jenny, put in the Queen of Being Seen, Jenny Kovacs. I'll come up there, and if I've seen that you've done that, then I can go over and thank you for it, because I'm always grateful to those of you in the community who love to share these. Now, just in case you're watching for the first time, although I can see a number count, you can see me and I can't see you. And at the moment, I can't even see names of people who are joining. So if you would like me to include you in examples or say hello and give you a shout out, then just type in the box below and say hello or hi or whatever you want to say. And then I'll know that you can hear me. I know that you're there. Hey, and the first person to say hello is Moira. Hi, Moira. See, it's much better when I can say hello back to Moira, isn't it? So, hi, Moira. So, you know, and I also respect that sometimes you want to just sit in the background and you just want to look. Now, if when we're conversing you feel like anything that you want to say here is too public, this is a public page after all, then I invite you really warmly to go over to the Visibility Vibes Tribe Facebook group, which is a closed Facebook group and means that anything you type in there can only be seen by the other people in the group, not by your friends, not by your family. So if you would prefer to have that sort of conversation with around 450 other really juicy vibers, then do go ahead, ask to join, and I will let you in. So all of this week I've been covering how you can speak out in an authentic way. What does that really mean? It means having the ability to sit here like I'm doing with you now and speak to you, no hair, no makeup, and not feel worried or concerned about the fact that this could be possibly seen by anybody anywhere in the world. I've really loved the fact that here in the UK it's been half-term week, and I've loved the fact that so many parents have been catching up on the replays with this and sending me messages at all sorts of times of day, from the morning through to the evening. I even had some grandparents that said, oh, the grandkids have been around, I've been looking after them. So I know it's been a quieter week. But one of the things that I do really like to do is to keep my promises to you. And one of the promises that I made on Monday, when I shared the techniques and the tips all the way through the week, was that I was going to let you know if you needed more, how to get more, and if you don't need more, that's fine too. So I'll be sharing with you 3 ways that I get ready to speak, and if you're about to do a speaking gig, whether it's next week, next year or whenever, and you want to ask any questions, please type them in the box below. I'll be really, really happy to answer them. So I'll share those with you, and I'll also let you know. So Some of you have been sending me messages, and on this page you can actually send me a message much like you would do a private message on Facebook. It comes to me and I can respond back to you, so I invite you to do that. So if you know that you want to continue the speaking journey, and maybe you want to continue being able to do this when you go to networking meetings, when you're presenting your business, when you're telling people about your products and services, you want to do it in a professional way, but in a way that feels like you. You don't want to be told where to put your hands, how to speak, or anything else like that. Then by all means, just type in the box if you'd like to know more about how that can be done. Just type in the box authentic speaking, please. But if, as many of you have also said, you want to be able to do this on video, you're maybe a bit apprehensive about video, or you're scared, or actually you're quite comfortable about doing Facebook Lives and videos, but you're not really sure what to say, how to say it, how to come across on camera, what I delight in doing is picking out the real you and giving it back to you so that you can then come across comfortable, relaxed, laid back, yet professional on camera. And I do this with the most basic of tools. So I am a really strong advocate, especially when you're getting started and really getting going and keeping going, that you do it with 3 things: your mouth, your arm, and your smartphone. Because once you've got into the groove of doing that, you can then show up in front of a videographer, you can then show up in a studio, you can then shoot your videos maybe for your online course and feel 100% comfortable. In fact, just before Christmas, I recorded a testimonial for somebody, and the videographer was there, the person interviewing and asking me the questions was there, and they were very surprised at how few takes we had to do. So I'm hoping that I made their job easy for them. There wasn't any editing, but they said that I came across really well. And that was because I'm happy in my own skin being myself. And I'm even more happier when I'm teaching other people to do that too. So if you know that you want to be speaking more authentically on video or on Facebook Lives, just put authentic video. If you're sitting there scratching your head saying, well, I want to do both, put authentic video and speaking, and I'll send you a message after this, and I'll let you know how you can get your hands on both. And to honour you for coming and watching these either live or on the replays, I'll make sure that you're well looked after if you decide that you want to do both. We might need a very brief conversation and kind of a quick email just to make sure that you're not taking on too much, or I might want an understanding of what you're about to do next so that I can advise you in the best way. And if anything that I'm offering is not for you, I will tell you that too. So 3 ways that I prepare to speak. Now I'm going to be really, really open with you on this, because there's a lot of smoke and mirrors that can go around what goes into speaking. So one of the very first ways that I would say prepare to speak. Now here's the biggest myth that I hear. People think that people who are public speakers are all into the blagging it, they're very extroverted, rah, 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 out there, look at me. And on the whole, there are speakers out there that are extroverted, that love speaking, that like being on the stage and don't think anything of hundreds of pairs of eyes looking at them. There are also some speakers that I've worked with, people that I've trained, who are introverted. They don't like that attention or that focus on them, and they do just as well as those extroverted speakers. But the myth is that they'll just go up on the stage and blag it. They'll just say whatever comes to mind and it will be cool. The other thing that I hear, regardless of whether someone's introverted or extroverted, is I've had a lot of clients in the past, and still have clients currently, who are very tuned in. So they would describe themselves as highly sensitive people. And one of the things that I hear from those highly sensitive people are that, oh, my little mascot's arrived. And one of the things that I hear from highly sensitive people is that they are highly sensitive. They're normally waiting for the right feel, the right alignment, the flow, the message to come in. So they can't possibly plan what they're going to say in advance. That, my friend, is baloney. So whether you are confident on the camera and think, I'm just going to rock up and blag it, or whether you are highly sensitive and there's a specific message to give but you don't know what it is, there's still a framework. If you think of it like a washing line, there's a framework where you can peg up certain pieces of what you want to say, so that if 2 minutes before you walk on a stage, you want to completely change your message, you're still confident. But here's the tip. Here's the way that I prepare for that. I practice. Now, I'm sorry that's not a bolt from the blue. Whether you're great at blagging it, whether you're great at sales, whether you know your subject matter inside out, it's still really important to practice what you're going to say. Now, I don't mean writing a script verbatim with words. I mean having like markers in the sand. Imagine that you're standing on a beach and you throw 5 pebbles in front of you that land in a line. When you're standing at the beginning of those pebbles, you want to step onto pebble 1 and know what you want to say in pebble 1. Just 1 pebble, but something as a reminder. Then you're going to step onto pebble 2 and know what you're going to say when you get to that point. And the same for 3, for 4 and for 5. Now, the reason that this framework is really important is that when you're speaking live, dependent on the number of people that you've got and what's going on around you, there might be distractions, there might be questions that people ask, there might be things that people shout out, there might be something that happens. These things have happened to me when I've been speaking. I've come with my talk already on my computer. One particular one, I remember the extension cable wasn't long enough, so I could only use my computer for as long as the power was in there, and I'd been using it all day, so I had like 15 minutes of power. There's times when sometimes if you've prepared a PowerPoint, it doesn't fit on the chart. There was a time when I prepared or pre-prepared a load of flip charts, and when I went to hang it up on my flip chart stand, guess what? I'd left it at home. So you never know what's going to happen. You might be in a small and intimate group, and those are the sorts of talks I really like giving. They don't have to be lots of people, although I have spoken on a stage of 500 plus people and ones where they've been live streamed throughout the world. The ones I like are the small and intimate ones where I can find out what's happening with the audience. And sometimes you'll ask a question, somebody in that audience will answer, and on the back or the basis of what that person has just said to you, then somebody else will jump in, and someone else will jump in, and someone else will jump in, and before you know it, if you haven't marked your pebbles out beforehand, way beforehand, you can get lost. So one of the things that we'll be covering in the Speaking Out Authentically course is exactly how to build that framework, get those pebbles or the washing line if you're more attuned, so that you've got the step by step. You can engage with your audience, you can connect with them, and you can connect into whatever you need to be able to speak without losing your way. It means that whatever comes through, whatever somebody speaks to you about, or whatever question they ask, you'll know that you're good to go with that, and you can come back to where you were. It also helps with time. And I was really pleased to hear from one of the Visibility Vibers who obviously did a fantastic talk, because they did their talk in the week. Not only was it well received, but they kept to time. This is a really important piece, and one of the hardest things to do when navigating your own talk. So I will be sharing that on the Speaking Out Authentically course, which I'll tell you a bit about in a moment. So one way to prepare to speak is to practice. People say look in the mirror and practice. I actually know a really cool tip, which means that you can practice it in your head like multiple times, but doesn't take up any of your time. I mean, your life is busy enough as it is. It's a technique that's used by many professionals and many people that are great at what they do. Even professional athletes use this, and it means that you can practice numerous times without wasting your very busy time. So I'll be telling you a bit more about how you can get with that. So one way to prepare is to practice. Whether you've been doing it for a year, whether you've been doing it for 20 years, whether you've been doing it for 50 years, always practice. And then you'll know what your framework is, and no matter what happens on the day, at the time, power cuts, floods or anything else. I once had somebody taken very seriously ill in the middle of a training, and I was able to take care of them, make sure they were all right. They went off to hospital, and then we carried on. We still had a break. So you never know what's going to happen when you're speaking. So it's really good to have that framework. So another way, and this is a really candid way, most people will have you believe that just before you rock up to speak, that you have to be all serious and get in the zone, but there's many different ways that you might get in the zone. Your way might not be my way, so I want to be able to help you to find the best way for you to get into your zone. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a bit of an old school raver. I love my dance music, and one of the best ways for me to get in the zone before I give a talk is to dance. Now there's two good reasons for this. Not only do I get to listen to great music that I love, but I can dance, I can shake it out of my body. Now, no one actually sees me do this. So up until this moment where I'm actually just sharing this with you, just me and you, nobody realises that I do this. At times I'll dance, I'll go in the toilet, I'll shake every bit of my body out. Why? Because if you look back at yesterday's video where I talked about the triangle, I talked about where you focus, the language you use with yourself and others, and also talked about your physiology. When we get nervous or when we get apprehensive, we become less animated, we look down a lot, we tend to be starchy and stiff a lot, and we tend to hold things together. And when we do that, it starts to help us to perpetuate and build any fear, any concerns, any worry, or we could come across as being really boring, which nobody wants when they're speaking. So by either dancing to your favourite tune, shaking it out of your body, it really helps to liven up your body, liven up your vibe, so that you come on camera and you're able to go for it. Now, there's lots of other ways in which you can do that too. You might not want to dance around or listen to your favourite music. It could be something more visual that you do. It could be more of a feeling that you evoke. But your way is your way, and that's what I'm really looking forward to doing in this next round of the speaking stuff. Also on video, we cover that way in a not so obvious way. And of the 70 plus participants who've already gone through the programme, many of them, I was really pleased to report, not only enjoyed the experience a lot more than they thought they would, but they actually, it's a 12-day thing, but by day 3, they're already going out wanting to make videos and actually making videos. This to me is what's really, really important. It's important because I don't want you just to go through an online course, have the ability to ask me any questions you want, have my focus on what you're doing specifically, and then put it to one side for a year and nobody sees you online or out there. I want you to be able to hit the ground running. I want you to be able to go out and have the confidence to speak. I want you to be able to have the confidence to be on camera. So tip number 1 was all about practicing and having that framework. Tip number 2 is all about my preparation, which in this case was shaking it out of my body, singing, dancing, listening to something. And I specifically do this before I hold webinars, before I give longer talks, and before I have speaking events too. Now the third way, and I got burnt, and I still get burnt by this one, so this is like an ongoing practice to me. There's always a bit of space that's required, whether you're extroverted or whether you're introverted. Now, if you're introverted, you might need more space. But in the run-up before you speak, there'll be a bit of time where you'll want more space to be able just to kind of absorb yourself, gather your thoughts, talk about the things that you want to do, think about how you want to say things, do a bit more of that special rehearsal that I was talking about. And I found the worst times that I show up to either speak, to do a webinar, to do a Facebook Live, to record a video, is when I try and go from whatever I'm doing straight into the video, the webinar, the talk, or anything else. For me, I don't need a lot of time. It could literally be a matter of minutes. My pet peeve is having to go from one thing to another. So one of the practices that I'm still learning, especially with these Facebook Lives being at 7 o'clock, is getting something to eat. Like I could be cooking dinner, eating dinner, and having enough space and time between having the dinner and coming and showing up to you guys on camera. Now there's something that happens in that space, and for me it's a couple of minutes, for you it might be half an hour, but it's like you can recharge yourself, you can focus your thoughts. But what some people inadvertently do, especially if they're a nervous public speaker, is that they use that time to wind themselves up and get more nervous. So how do you have time to reflect, time to think about what you want to share, how you want to share it without getting nervous? And that's something else that I'd be really honoured to be able to show you, whether you choose to do it on video, whether you choose to do it authentically through speaking, or whether you choose both. There are very different things you can do. So those are just 3 ways in which I prepare. So I want to thank you so much for watching, and if you've missed any of this week's, do go back, just look down here, they're all different episodes, and I'm trying to remember, this I think is number 27, yes. So 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, so Monday started at episode number 23. You'll see them all in the timeline here, but you'll also see some of the most watched videos also on this page in the video link. So let me tell you a bit about what you can expect if you decide to authentically speak. And as I say, if this is you, you can either type in the box below authentic speaking or authentic video or authentic speaking and video. What I'll do is, with your permission, I'll send you a message from the Facebook page and let you know more about how you can do that through an online course, and I'm going to do it over 6 weeks. Now, what happens if you can't make any of those weeks? The live calls that I share with you and the other group will always be recorded, and you can go back to them as many times as you want, as much as you want. So what I propose to do is to take you through some of the techniques that I've taken you through this week and deeper, so that you can start to build your own framework, line your own pebbles up, and be able to speak to people. Now, for those of you that were wondering about the washing line analogy, for those of you that kind of rely on the vibe and the feeling of everything else like that, what I really want to encourage you to do is to be able to have a framework set up, so that if 5 minutes before you go to speak, like I did many years ago, I had a speaking gig in York. I knew exactly what I was going to talk about. I'd arranged it with the host. I turned up on the evening. There were just 30 ladies in the room. It was a smaller, intimate event. And as I was talking to some of the women in the bar, I realised that what I had to share would be useful, but what I could share with them could be even more useful. And I had this story that I wanted to share, and I'd never really shared it publicly before. So because of the framework and the structure that I had, I was able then to put that new story and share that new story into the framework. Now, nobody there could tell that that's not originally what I was going to speak about. So it all flowed. I was happy, they were happy, they learned, and I met some most incredible people as a result of it, and made new clients as a result of it. So I want you to be able to do the same. So here's some of the stuff that I've put together for a 6-week live online course. So not only do you get the videos, not only do you get learnings online, you also get some templates and checklists so that you know that you're on the right track. It also means that when you come onto the live calls, you can get to ask me the specific questions that you need and learn from hearing what other people learn. And if for whatever reason you can't make the calls, then it means that you can come back at another time and listen and re-listen. And another little secret I'll share you, this kind of like tip number 4, whenever I've learnt from a mentor or anyone else where I've just been really wanting to kind of like wrap my head around how to do something, I will listen and re-listen and re-listen. So some of the audios that you've got, you can save to your phone and be, walking to school or going for a run and listening to those. It gives you a chance to what I call like skilling the muscle. You can feel it in your muscle so that it becomes almost like an automatic thing that you do. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be developing a really quick and easy way that you can introduce what you do and yourself in 60 seconds or less. All of that without the waffle. So I'll show you how to do that. I'll show you how to discover a really unique and authentic way of communicating with others. So even if it's a slightly difficult conversation, I'll be able to show you how to do that. I'll show you how to plan and prepare a talk to anybody about anything, whether you're a potato farmer. I've had clients that have been bed and breakfast owners, electricians, chartered surveyors. I had somebody who's a web designer. I've had people that have been coaches, people that have been authors, that have written these books and they don't know how to present their stuff. People that have even made online courses or are thinking of online courses. Wouldn't it be great to go out and do talks so that people that you're speaking to would then go onto your online course and vice versa? So all sorts of different people, from hypnotherapists to, clinical psychologists and all sorts of different people have used these techniques. And I'm going to teach you how to answer questions like that you're put on the spot. So if you're doing something like a Facebook Live, or if you're out speaking and somebody asks you a question, you don't go red, nervous, your neck doesn't flush, you don't feel like you can't breathe. I'm going to give you a really fun and juicy technique on how to answer that question in a really fun way. You will never ever be stuck again on how to answer that question. I'll also talk about what's the kind of the lead up and how to set up a conversation which sells. We won't be covering sales per se very deeply on this course, but what I will cover is how you set up your talk so that then you can set it up if you are selling a product or a service. If you get anxious when you're speaking, again, I'm going to show you some really, really cool ways to do it. Slightly nuts ways, but really cool, really easy. A 15-minute conversation and we're done. If you get an inner critic, so you get the voice inside your head that tells you how rubbish you are, we're going to talk about how you deal with that inner voice, that inner critic. And bizarrely, I'm also going to talk about the impact of colour. The colours that you wear when you're speaking live, they're not so much so important on video, but there are things you can do to really add gravitas and weight to your message. So we're going to do that. So this is for you, whether you're a business owner, and you want to tell others about what you do, you want to increase your sales, and maybe you want to tell them through your networking, through launches, through sales or presentations. But also, if you're thinking of starting a business and you can't quite get which one to go on first, this is also for you, because it will let you know what you can say when you're promoting what you're thinking of doing to others in a professional way. The other thing that you'll find is that you can increase your confidence when you're speaking in general. So whether you're speaking one-to-one or to a group or to even in a social setting, some of this stuff works for social settings like weddings. So what's going to be included is a weekly coaching call. So it's a coaching and mentoring call. So come with your questions that you've gone through in the week. The information and content will be drip fed to you so that you're not bombarding yourself or overwhelming yourself. So come with your questions, and also the benefits that you gain from hearing the questions that other people have are immense, absolutely immense. We're going to allow 60 minutes to start off with, but if you've got so many questions that we need to go on, then I'll go on and answer them. And the beauty is the whole call is recorded and put in the online classroom for you to listen to again and again and again. You're going to have a secure members only area, which is away from Facebook, so you don't have to cope with the distractions. It means you can go in to this online class, you get your own password that even I don't know what that is, and you can just line up and watch as many videos as you need to, listen to as many recordings as you want to. The templates I've put in there are done for you, so it helps to steer you so that you can then create your own talks and even your own videos. You'll get tip sheets and you'll get weekly tips as well to help you to speak out in the most authentic way. And because this doesn't start until Monday, the 27th of February, so it gives you a week and a bit, what I've also decided to do is to put in all of the recordings and all of the worksheets and all of the transcripts from the 2013 Speaking Out Authentically Club course. So between the 27th of February and now, if you decide to book onto this, you'll actually have access to all of that. Now, I was really tempted to pretty it up and change it and modernise it and make it look beautiful, but actually I want you to see how the course has grown and how it's developed. In 2012, when I first wrote the course and shared it again in the summer of 2013, Facebook Live didn't even exist. So I want you to be able to see the evolution that's gone on, because I want you to know that you don't have to have everything perfect or perfectly done from the start. I want you to see that it's okay to grow and evolve as you speak to your audience. So if this is something that you'd love to do, just go to the message box above, send me a message and I'll send you the link where you can have a look. You can see the pricing of this course, and for those of you that don't want to pay in a lump sum, maybe you're looking at your cash flow, even though it's a 6-week course, there's one payment that's taken as a deposit now, and then 2 more payments made split over 21 days, so you don't even have to pay it in one lump sum. Now, when you listen to the recordings from 2013, you'll actually hear people going through the process, including one of the people on the call who wasn't even self-employed. They were just looking for another job, and It was they were the husband of somebody who was on the course, and by listening to that, you can hear on the recordings as we go through, when he tells us with glee, not only did he find another job, he found another 3 and didn't know which one to go for. And it's that level of confidence that I really want you to have. So if you've got any other questions, just hit the message bar at the top. I will be on the phone and answering them on my phone, answering them and typing you back a question as soon as possible. But if you decide that you don't want to do this in a group, send me a message. I have a few spaces to work privately with me where we can get into a room or work online depending on where in the world you are, and we can nut out the same amount of content over, kind of like a 6-week period. It is slightly more to work with me one-to-one, but we can have that conversation. You might not need it, and I might be able to say, you know what, off you go and use that. Now, if you're looking to enhance your performance and what you do on video or Facebook Lives, I've got a lovely 12-day course that's going to be released on the 1st of March. So I'll let you know also, if you message me, how you can get hold of that, who you can buy that from, and I like to send you to some of the other Juicy Vibers, video Vibers that have been through that session, because that way you get real experience of knowing what it's like to go through something like that, how they found it, how much fun they had, how easy it was, and for many of them, they're now out there doing video in the world. So rather than hear it from me, you can hear it from someone else. So thank you so much for joining me. And if you've got any other questions, then please, please, please get in contact, send me a message, and I'll be answering them over the weekend. Lots of love to you. Thank you for joining me, Maura, and saying hello, and bye for now.